Alright, today I'm going to be reviewing a blade from Dawson knives from their tactical line. This is the Dawson Ranger, and as you can see, this is a nice chunk of steel here. It is it's a 1/4 inch, 5160. Just so you can see this here, we got a 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch spine there, with a flat grind, and it is 5160, which is an alloy steel, fairly high carbon steel, not quite like 1095, which is very high carbon. So this would have a 60% carbon content, and it is an alloy. It's commonly referred to as spring steel. So 5160 is known for its durable edge holding qualities, and just being all around versatile steel, good for tactical knives. It does have a black Cerakote finish, and micarta handles. This has the gray micarta handles. Alright, so a few things we're going to look at before we really get into it. Just the look at the sheath system that comes with the knife. This is a Kydex sheath, and it's got actually a unique feature that I've never seen before. And if you take a look, you'll notice this divot here, or dimple, whatever you want to call it, in the Kydex. You can see how it protrudes on the other side there. And what they've done is, if you can take a look at the screws here, the handle screws, you'll see that this screw here has the hex head, just like the two on the other side. But this screw right here is actually, looks like they may even hollow it out. I'm not sure how they accomplish this, but they may just Dremel this out. But what it does is it creates a little crater in here, so when the knife slides into the sheath, it actually creates a locking mechanism for the knife. So the knife is very secure in this sheath. In fact, you can really pull on that sheath and this knife is not coming out. So the way the knife comes out of the sheath is basically just have to lift that side to disengage that nibble, and the blade releases from the sheath. So it's pretty cool setup they've got there. Like I said, I've never seen this before on a Kydex knife sheath, but it is pretty ingenious locking mechanism that they've got here. Really, the only downside I see to this is, for me personally, when I grab my knife, I like to make sure I've got a full grip on the knife when I pull it out of the sheath. So the way this is set up, it's kind of difficult to get that full grip, since you have to disengage up here, and this part of the sheath kind of blocks the hand from getting higher up. So this could probably be remedied by maybe taking a little material away from this portion of the sheath, and maybe extending a small portion here to actually give you a thumb rest. But overall, this is a really good setup on this sheath. Okay. So now, looking further at the sheath, I've actually got a couple pieces here from another another knife, same pieces. They've sent me a couple knives to test and evaluate. In fact, just so you can see for a future video, we've got the Raider 5. All right, so you can be looking for this review coming up next, and it has a similar, basically the same type of sheath setup. But we'll look more at that later. Okay, so with the Dawson, pretty much with all their knives, at least through their tactical end, they have the sheath comes with two connections set up. So you've got this MOLLE setup. All right, it's a Kydex MOLLE setup, and I'll show you how that works in a second. And then you have a belt loop, snapping belt loop attachment that comes with the knife as well. So, and the screws to attach it. So, and with this, you can turn the knife sideways if you want to carry the knife sideways, say in the small of the back, or if you want to turn it and carry it vertically. All right, the screws line up for that, so you can put it on this side. Obviously, you can pretty much go right or left-handed, whichever way you want to carry that knife with the belt attachment. For those who may be wondering, this isn't really compatible with the Blade Tech. Now, this is an old style Blade Tech Tech Lock system. Okay, the new ones are actually a little bit better design, but I know a lot of people like to use this this mechanism. So the Blade Tech uses a 3/4 inch spacing between the holes, okay, which puts your first and last holes at 1.5 inch apart. Okay, so if you've got 1.5 inch spacing, or if you've got 3/4 inch spacing, then you can use a Tech Lock. This sheath system, they use what appears to be more like 1.25 inch. Okay, so this uses a 1.25 inch spacing between the holes. So just so you're aware of that, and knowing the guys over at Dawson, if that is an issue, if that's really an attachment that you want to use, I'm sure that they could customize your Kydex for that. All right, so going back to the MOLLE attachment. Okay, again, this is kind of a unique setup they've got here. All right, it's one piece of Kydex, and it's designed to lock onto itself, just like that. So, so it's actually pretty cool. So, just so you can see how this would work. So if I'm gonna carry the blade with the handle up, then you're going to attach the this MOLLE attachment with the screw portion down, okay, like shown here, and then when you run this through your MOLLE, it's going to run through like this, and then lock in place. Okay. And it's a pretty actually quite secure MOLLE system that they've got. So in this case, your knife would be just like this, and it would be attached to the MOLLE this way. All right. So that is that's the overall gist of the blade and the sheath setup. And so now we're gonna get into the knife itself. All right, so I just finished putting an edge on this knife with my Wicked Edge sharpener. For those of you that use the wicked edge. I use the measurement setting at Charlie. Probably needed to go just a little bit farther forward. Looked like there's a bit here at the heel where it's got down at the shoulder but didn't get right at the edge. But everything else looks pretty good, so we'll go with that for our testing, and we've got a pretty good edge on this knife now, as you can see. Perhaps you can see the reflection now that's in that blade, so we've got a nice sharp clean edge. Matter of fact, I sliced myself with it just in passing there. So we're going to see what this blade will do now with a little bit finer edge on it. There we go. So as you can see, that did quite a bit of damage. All the way through the Kevlar, all the way through this foam, and it hit the board. Let's hit this spot here where we don't have any cuts or punctures, just to confirm that test. Yeah, that's gonna make a bad day for somebody. Let's do it. See how this cutting test against the Kevlar now. All right. About the same as before. I mean, it is Kevlar. Can't expect too much in the way of cutting. And also we're cutting against the opposite side now, which has got, this is the side that normally faces the bullet. Let's just do the other side for comparison. So before we cut through several outer layers down a layer of Kevlar, let's just see if we can replicate that same thing. Pretty much. So, getting some different effects depending on where we cut it, but our puncture tests are definitely where it lies with the blade, anyways. And again, we're going all the way through the board, and that edge is holding up just fine. That tip's holding up fine. No fold over or anything. All right, so we're going to continue with our testing on the Dawson Ranger. We can do some batoning and some other cut testing here on a piece of mesquite wood. This is a fairly fresh piece of mesquite. Just cut it a couple, well, I guess probably about 2 months ago, and it's been drying, so it's very hard right now. So I'm gonna see how well this blade holds up cutting through this mesquite, and how efficiently we can do that. I've already cut a little bit on this end, so it's already excuse me, so I've already done a little bit of cutting with this just to see before I started filming, and the blade is still extremely sharp. It hasn't seemed to affect the sharpness of the blade hardly at all. So I'm going to cut all the way through this wood, which is looks to be about 2 inches, in diameter. So we're going to cut through this and see what happens. So let's get started. Oh, so there we go. Took a little while to get through there, but blade is still extremely sharp. No damage to the blade. You can see there's a little wear on the Cerakoting, but I mean, that's to be expected. But knife is in good shape. All right. I'm going to do another little section here, and this time I'm going to do some batoning, and let's just see how the spine of the knife holds up with some beating on the back end there. This is one solid knife. I would definitely stake my life on this one. What I'm doing now is just some war post training. Okay, you can see I got a big dead tree here, and I'm just going to use this tree as basically a training dummy and cut at it with this knife, and we'll see how the knife holds up to it. Maybe we'll do a couple throws here as well at the end. So I found one more target of opportunity as I was packing up here. Found this piece of coaxial cable. So it's got that it's got the copper core in the center, and got the steel lining and the rubber over top of it. And just going to show you how sharp this thing still is after our day of testing. Right through that copper cable, coaxial cable. So there's the Dawson Ranger after a long day of testing. Cut through mesquite, did some throwing, very well balanced for throwing actually. Busted a cinder block in half with the pummel. I even off camera I did some chipping away with the point on that cinder block, and I got a little bit of a burr on the end, but not very much. I mean, but what do you expect? I mean, knives aren't meant to chisel through rock, but this knife does a pretty dang good job of doing that. And as you can see, I mean, we've got some wear on the finish just from our testing, but I mean, this knife has held up extremely well, as I expected it would. And hopefully Dawson will be pleased at the performance of their knife. I know I am. So thanks for watching.